Hey guys, Will here. Today we're going to look at the Rovyvon Aurora A5. First and foremost, let me thank Pete from Cedric Ada on YouTube, that handsome dude. He gave me a shout out, so I'm getting sort of a subscriber boost. If you're not already subscribed to him, why don't you go over to subscribe to what a laugh, of course, because I think most people already subscribed to him, and I think for me to shout out is a joke. But anyway, let me continue on. I've been wanting to look at this light for a long time. It's a keychain flashlight, and what makes it special is that you have like the emitter from the front as well as a side emitter. So let's do this unboxing. So let's go over the flashlight stuff. Micro USB. Most people have this already. That is to charge it. There's a micro USB port. There is a kind of necklace. This is a beaded necklace. There is a clip that clips onto the body for clipping onto your hat, or I guess clip it onto your pants if you want to. There is a lanyard, which is a little bit weird because it's so short. The light is so small. It's essentially a keychain light. And okay, the manual. So let's go over the manual, because I think there's a lot of things to check on the little details. So let's see, micro USB cover, check. Let's check it out over here. There's a micro USB rubber silicone cover that you pull open when you charge it, just like so. So when you charge it, it is using a micro USB, and when it's charging, it is red, and when it is full, it turns blue, which is very nice. When it's also low in energy, this will turn red as well to give an indicator that you're running out of power. Yes, they talk about that. Nice polycarbonate, which is very easy on your keychains, bouncing around everything. You don't have to worry about scratching and wearing out, I think, when you have it on your keychain. Very small battery. I believe it's like 130 milliamp battery. They actually just upgraded this light, so I think they actually doubled it on the A5X. As you can see, how you can mount the flashlight clip, so for different uses. So, and let's check the back. Okay, so this particular model is actually the Nichia 215C, which has a lower output of 350 lumens, which I don't mind at all, because that when you have a keychain flashlight, you're just not really looking for the most power, but you're looking for that very light and compact format. So this Nichia has a like 90 plus CRI. That's a color rendering index. So that means that is how true it brings out the colors when it's lighting up different items. Okay, and neutral light. This neutral white is 4500K temperature, which is I pretty much like a 5000K. So they do have like a kind of white, or they have this Nichia option. So if you're a type of person who likes everything cool, you definitely could just buy the cool one, and you want more power. But let me just say that when you buy a flashlight like this, you're not looking for maximum power, or if you're trying to look for maximum power, it's just it's not a good idea, because there's just nowhere for the heat to go. So that's why I would suggest you pay attention to maybe like the tint color that you want, more so than the power output. And this goes for any of the different kind of brands or different flashlights, because it's just the format can't handle it. Let's see, quick charge, 45 minutes, side switch, ergonomic, blah, blah, IP65 water resistance. That's pretty much it. Just maybe if you drop in a puddle of water, it's gonna be okay. You wouldn't probably want to use it in the pouring rain or underwater. Dimensions of the rechargeable, blah, blah, blah. Okay, the lumens, we have 12 lumens at 190 minutes, 170 lumens at 50 minutes, and then the high is 350 lumens for 30 minutes. This is the Nichia output. for this particular one. And we have the side lights. This is what makes it special. These side lights, there's different combination. You can get a white red or a white UV. And this particular one that I have is a white red that I like. I don't think a UV is so great because when you have a UV light that's this kind of flood, it's just the output is very low, and whatever object you're trying to light, you're gonna have to light it very close, like counterfeit bills, maybe recharging the loom on your watch or something quite simple as that. But if you try to think that you're going to do CSI inside a hotel room, think again, it's not going to work. You're going to need something more like one of these like Ace Beam UC15 that has a UV that can project it out. Okay, and then and it has different modes. Let's go through like the UI. Toss in this. Let's go through the UI. Quite clever. I love the UI. It's quite clever because I would say that when I have this flashlight, I actually accidentally turned it on by mistake, and then I had the hot pants.
My balls was hot.
It sucks, and then you just drained all the power out. And in order to prevent that, you would have to put it into lockout mode. But when you have a lockout mode, you have to, unlock it, and that's just that ugly extra step, which is not so good. So what it has is that it's very smart. It has you click, and then it just goes to full output, full 350 lumens. It's actually quite a lot of lumens out of this little light. And so if you accidentally was in your pocket and you sit on it, whatever, you're less likely to have it on for like any kind of prolonged period. So it's really great. So from off, hold is the momentary sort of tactical mode. Okay, and then double click. Double click is what turns it on. And then once it's on, you single click, go to the next. That's a medium, 170. Click it again. That's 350. And I would say that and then the click is the next one, strobe, which is really a pain in the butt. So this is back down to the low, which is very nice space output that I have found when I'm using it. So I think they did a pretty good job visually separating the lumens. So click, 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 and that's how you go through the different modes. Now to shut it off is hold, and then it's off. So from off, first one, hold is tactical or full brightness, temporary. Double click is to turn it on, and click to switch between the modes. Single click, single click, single click. And hold, it's always hold to shut it off, sort of. This is one of my pet peeves, so I'll get to that. So from off, the next one would be the side lights, which is quite what it's famous for. 1, 2, 3, and we have a side light, and it's too cool, not too cool for school, it's too cool tint LED that you have here, which they say it's for reading, which is kind of stupid. And the reason I say that is like when they have the picture of it's for reading, it's like, how do you read with the light like in front of your face? Like, because that's how low the output is. I would compare this output to a moonlight. If you were to had a like cat eyes, and you had your nice eyes adjusted to the night, you could hike with this like this way, but it would be like hiking with the moonlight, which you could hike after like 40 minutes of like night eye adjusting. So don't expect to read and all this stuff. I would actually suggest, and I'm going to hold to shut it off. I would actually suggest double click to turn it on, to kind of read with just like this way. It looks a little bit more tighter, the beam, but it's actually more spread out, so you can actually read this way, and the tint of the niche is perfect. It's very gentle on the eyes. So that's kind of weird. So let's go through the other auxiliary things. 1, 2, 3. So that's the cool 2 LED for area, which I would say this is what it's good for. I would say is when you put it on top of like a table, and you just want a nice area light to set the mood or something like that, you can just set it on a table, which is great because you can't, tail stand it, or what would you do? Put it in a cup or something? It'll be something weird. Then you would have to bounce it off of something, so it wouldn't be as useful that way. Or then if you put it, let's see, sideways, double click, that's stupid. Like it's not as good as a area light. So I would say hold. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And then, so this kind of area light is a good kind of, maybe you use it as an indicator, like a small little tent light if you hang it, or on top of a table. It's great to just have a very gentle ambient light. So just like the other mode where you're running through the main light, you always clicking to go to the next step. You're also clicking to go to the next auxiliary light. So this is the white and red version. So it has the cool two LEDs here. I don't know if that I can get the LEDs to show up. Nah, it's too overexposed. So that you have the LED. Click to the next one. Is a red. So what is good for this? What kind of applications can you use for this? Maybe if you wanted like a kind of ambient light that's more night vision safe, like be doing astronomy or something like that. Another use would be to clip this maybe to your bike. You can tie it to your back of your bike in emergency, onto your bag of your messenger bag. Clip it onto your clothes, and then as you're walking onto some kind of road, you can be much safer. And to the next step would be the blinking red, right? So then that's, if you're in even maybe like a city area and it's like there's so many ambient light around and you need to really catch somebody's attention, you can just clip it and have it onto this blinking, and this will run probably the longest. And this will offer some safety as you're walking somewhere, or you can use it as maybe indicator for your campsite, whatever you want to use it as, connected, like put it on your bike. So different uses, like you would have to figure it out for yourself. So that's kind of great to have these extra features. Kind of why I love my Ace Beam UC15 for so long. It used to be, not used to be, it's still my number one used light for EDC. But these are two different types of lights. My original keychain line is this. It's a night core tube, and the reason I like this light is that it is super light, it's ultra light, so that when I put it on my keychain, it adds like an unperceivable weight. So that makes it great if you're just carrying your keys and you have to go outside running or something like that. You just don't want to lug around something heavy like this. I never seen this as a keychain light. It's quite heavy for dangling, and if you twist this around, you would have to use a swivel between this, actually, because if it's on your keychain, it would be like unscrewing and fiddling around. But I love this format actually when you clip it onto your clothes like this way. So I think that's great. But so this because all the men will offer you much more lumens and much more sustainable lumens. That's the most important thing, is to always read between the marketing. When you're looking at all these different type of lights, they're just not going to offer the lumens that, they're sort of claiming all these max lumens. Every time you see like 500, 600 or something like that, just try to ignore that, because what you have to do is read between the lines and understand that the flashlight just cannot provide this type of output for a long time. So what I found out, I did quite some extensive testing of this, not just kind of showing the light and doing I wouldn't say crappy review, but I would say I've seen probably maybe just some simplistic reviews of it. I think what they do is they claim this is like a temperature control. Let me see on this thing. Do they claim it's a temperature control on the? Yeah, when the light is working over 2 minutes of high, the output step down 65. Due to the heat, the high mode produce output adjusted by the temperature controller. I think I'm going to call BS on that, because from what I find, I'm just going to throw up some of my findings. I did a thermal test of this using a FLIR thermal camera, and I have found that as I'm running this on high, it will do its normal step down. You'll see the chart as it's heating up, and it'll finally reach a point where it's going to step down. But I found that even though it reached that temperature and I shut it off, it will also repeat the same exact temperature profile, if you decide to turn it back on immediately afterwards. So if it had a temperature control, it should just actually cut it off from the beginning, because it's already reached that maximum temperature, but it's running through the same profile. And what that does is that it actually increases the temperature yet again. So if it kind of goes that high temperature and it goes back down, and then you yet turn it back again, and you kept repeating that, you can just probably increase the the temperature past that a point that's not so good for the flashlight for the longevity, because I think I reached like around 60 Celsius or something like that, and you just don't want so much more than that. It's actually bad for the batteries. I think it evaporates like the liquid inside. So yeah, they say it steps down to 65 lumens. I would say it's something, it feels, from visually, it looks like something like maybe 40 lumens or something like that. So basically what you're looking at, and it's sort of like a 40 lumen light, which is not bad because it's a keychain flashlight, and you're just not supposed to expect that much because it's supposed to be, the number one priority should be that it is lightweight. This is my keychain, put it on lightweight, and you just don't feel the extra weight, and you're never thinking that I'm going to take this off of your keychain. So it's a light that you have with you at all times, where you might think something heavier. It's the daytime, maybe I don't want to carry it because it's chances are I'm probably not going to use it. So different sort of priorities in what you will find inside the thing. So I think I discussed, let's just very clearly talk about, what the cons and the pros of it, as I'm let me just like reorganize and talk about it. So cons, let's start off with the cons. Proprietary battery, sealed. It's not a deal killer for me, maybe for you, but I was just stated out as a con. Because you can't, it's sealed in, the chance of you replacing it, it's probably nil unless you're really good with DIY. But I would say that most of the time that these kind of sealed lights last like several years. You probably get bored of the light before you even think of the chance to actually replace the battery. There's the battery itself is about half right there, that little silver thing, and most likely you're not going to replace it. These are not, you're not going to use like this a keychain line when you're going hiking where you're thinking that you're going to constantly replace it. You're thinking these kind of lights you're just topping off with a micro USB every once in a while and using for very short use, like maybe walking down an alley, or you just had to check if there's like a skunk in the bushes or something like that. Or as emergency, you ended up somewhere in some dark alley or trail, and you need an emergency light, and that's more of the kind of use that you end up finding. So just stating, battery sealed, that kind of short-term use. The output is not 350. It will knock down. It's not the medium as well. It will knock down as well. So you'll have like maybe a minute. I would say like from the temperature profile, the lumen profile, I would say it's something like 45 seconds. It starts already going about about the half point, and at the minute 30 you find yourself at the 10%. So I would say it's about the 10% point. So depending on which emitter that you get, it will you can kind of determine what the maximum output. So I would say if this is a 350 lumen 10%, this is like a 35-40 lumen flashlight for real, that it's going to run long term. And that is just because it's just limited. The only metal is here. That's a heatsink. This is taking all the brunt work. The plastic is not going to absorb anything. Something has to absorb the heat and protect the components inside. And probably most importantly, the battery, and of course the LEDs and the other driver and other electronic components inside. So not a deal killer, but something to be aware with. And also one of my nitpicks would be about, and this is a con for me, I don't know if it's for you, Rovyvon is kind of weird. I hate timer UIs, and it drives me nuts because it removes the consistency of flashlights. So when you're running these lights, so double click and I'm going to run the light, what ends up happening is that at the 1 minute mark, you'll actually have to click the shut off as opposed to holding. So under 1 minute, hold. Over 1 minute, click. Am I going to count 60 seconds in my head? I don't think so. So it's kind of weird like that. I would think that if I were to run it low, let's say double click and run it low. And for example, maybe I wanted to step it up a little bit, just to like I'm walking, maybe I'm using this at the very low setting, and I think what's there in the bushes, I want to like boost it just a little bit, and like I would want to just kind of click through the settings, and as opposed to when I click it next, what's it's going to end up doing is shut off and be like, oh, now from off, I have to yet again double click to turn it back on. So after that 1 minute, you're really committed. And even if it's at that 1 minute, it's already has been dropped down to that kind of 40 lumen range. So maybe that's what they're thinking. I'm trying to think of why they decided to put a timer to change the behavior of the flashlight when it's shutting off. And I realized when they upgraded A5X, they switched that over to 3 minutes. So I don't know why they're putting timers in it. It's annoying. I looked at the other models and they have 3 minute memories. So you have to think, when I last used it, did I use it for 3 minutes or did I use less than 3 minutes? So if I turn it on, which output is it going to turn on? And that just, just drives me nuts. Also, for this flashlight, they happen to put strobe in it. They happen to put strobe in this flashlight, and the strobe is annoying. And there's no reason to have a strobe inside this kind of keychain light. It's like deep inside, double click, then 3, 4, whatever, 3 clicks, and then you're into the strobe, which like by that time, the use of the strobe has already been, useless. And it's too much to think if you're in an emergency situation where you need the strobe for immediately. You just your brain is you're gonna have like that kind of brain fart, in a high stress situation. And they even put on the UI, on the user manual for strobe mode, when the primary light is turned on, triple click for strobe. All right, primary light on. 1, 2, 3. No, there's no strobe. 1, 2, 3. No, there's no strobe because it's 1, 2, 3. That's what they mean. They basically, I feel like it's almost like a kind of like a marketing trick or whatever, that trying to make you think that you can get into strobe quickly, but it's actually, this is describing is that it's describing you going through the primary light, cycling through the different modes. So that I don't like. So I'm going to state all those things because I pay for the light and I'm not a shill, and this is a no shill zone. So of course, my constructive criticism towards any light, you may find value or no value in any of them. So that's for you to decide as a consumer. I'm just going to present the facts to you and some of my own opinions. Okay, so pro I would say is the UI. What an idiot. So I just said the UI is like kind of fiddly with that often thing, but I would think that generally, mostly the UI is smart. I love the fact that I don't have to lock it out. So the single click is that, and the double click is to actually turn on and stay on. And then the triple click is to access the auxiliary lights. And then to cycle through any of the primary or auxiliary lights is always just a single click, single click, single click. So it's basically, I would say it's excellent inside the UI, not perfect, but it's excellent for what it is, and so excellent that Nightcore decided to be inspired by making their own Nightcore Tiki, which has nearly the same UI. But what I'm not sure is that they might not have that stupid timer off thing happening on the UI. So it might turn out that Nightcore actually has the better UI between the two. So that's something to consider. I'll probably talk a little more about the Nightcore. I'll probably get the Nightcore Tiki later to compare the two. So let me not digress too much about that. Let's see. What is also good is this clip is nice to have. Whoa, this is the extra micro USB cover. You can clip it this way or backwards or forward. That gives you so many extra options. It's nice to have a light that you can just clip onto your cap if you have it, to have that kind of just extra hands-free use in emergency. You can just clip it on and actually leave this clipped on, even though you have it on your keychain. So that's great. So all that's this very smart thinking. I love that the guy who designed it, or the engineers or designer, are really trying to try to put as much smart thinking and uses out of the flashlight. Of course, another pro would be lightweight. I want to measure for real. I want to compare this, what this looks like. Let's see, zeroed out. Let's see what it weighs. 0.4 ounce. Just want to make sure. Yeah, 11 grams. Then you like compare this like what 11 grams versus it's like nearly 5 times the weight. Well, I have a little lanyard, but you get the point that you could probably carry like 4 of these compared to that one other. So that would classify as an EDC light. This would classify as a keychain light. So very ultra lightweight. So disappear on your keychain, disappear in your pocket. Very great. I like the built-in charging. Another pro, just simple and basic. A lot of times you have a micro USB, no brainer, 45 minutes to charge up, very easy. So just you don't have to think about it. I like that sort of thing, like the way Olight has like a magnetic charger and other stuff. But even like a micro USB is, you can say, is even more useful, or because it's just ubiquitous. It's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. Of course, the multi-LED is the biggest trump card of this light. Just very unique. And like I said, so unique that Nitecore decided to be inspired by this design. Now, whether you think Nitecore is copying them and you refuse to buy it is up to you. I don't know if this is a patented design. If it's not, then more so for the consumers if there is competitors designing, because there's only so many ways you can design flashlights. So if it's not patented, then, well, Nitecore, if they want to be inspired by it, then it's better for the consumers, I suppose. It's up to you. Maybe I see myself as sort of morally compromised because if I see a kid trip, I'm gonna laugh. You know, if every time I flush the toilet in the airplane, I imagine I'm making a doo-doo hat on a whale or something like that. So yeah, I'm probably not the most morally good person. So I'll probably pick up a Nitecore Tiki and I'll do a review to compare the two. They might be exactly almost the same with just small slight differences between the two. So let's see. I mean, let me just wrap this up. We know with the conclusion, because I think I talked long enough about this. The UI, nearly perfect. Very, very good. Format, also, I would say is perfect. These things are just not made to run for so long. And I don't want it to run like, I don't need 1,000 lumen keychain light, a real keychain light, not a EDC light. EDC light, I want something more. EDC light would be something like this. EDC light would be something like this. 4,000 lumen, 1,000 lumens. It's a different kind of format. So like another step in the up, and you should buy yourself many different type of lights. You know, treat yourself. UI best as can be. Output very nicely spread out. Tint is amazeballs. I love the tint of the Nichia. I love the color temp of it. Is awesome. It's perfect. It makes colors pop out. It looks great. And I think for when I want a keychain light or some kind of close use, I want the color sort of makes a bigger difference, as opposed to when you want like some high lumen light, some kind of like crazy flame torch beast. At those times, yeah, you can go cool in the temperature. So I like that they offer both cool and the Nichia. So that's super great. And the one extra detail that I love about it is that it glows in the dark. If you can see that, pretty cool. So just like, it's just a very small details like of adding that glow in the dark. It's really great. So like you can find it in your bag. It just happened to be charged up, or you can use 1, 2, 3 and then turn this on and then use that to hold off and then to charge up the glow in the dark. So it's very easy to find your keys inside your bag. So I love those kind of little things. Regarding the company, Rovyvon, their lineup is all over the place, and it drives me nuts when I see it, because when you see their lineup and you see the different, like you would think that every, like you say A5 and then it'll go A8, it's like skipping around. You would think like kind of like A8 would be better, but it's just different. So you would have to go through their website and look very intently at all the specs. The UI is different for different models. The specs are different for different models. I think what Rovyvon is doing is they are listening to the flashlight community, and as they're listening, they're making small tweaks here and there. So they're going through the iterations, there's just different kind of flavors of the flashlight. So it's not so much that it's much better. It's that it's for every different maybe type of person. So I would say just don't pay attention to like the numbers itself, but to look at the very close details of it and make sure the details align with your use. And also to read between the lines, make sure that you understand they're not high lumen lights, and to make sure you understand there's no easy strobe mode with stupid, and to also understand that there isn't a temperature controller for the flashlight. Unless I'm looking at my data wrong, I don't think that's a temperature controller, because the way it has been reacting from when I observed it. I think that's it. So I should wrap this up. Thanks for watching, everybody. This is a labor of love, this channel, and the beam shots, of course, the most important thing when you're doing a flashlight review is the beam shots. The beam shots will be following at this very end. So I appreciate you guys for watching and liking and subscribing. All that really helps the channel, and it doesn't cost you anything. So thanks again. Bye for now.
Can you give